I think we all knew what was in front of us when we came down here. And in my mind, before we play tonight, and certainly after we play tonight, I think Florida State's the best team in the country. It's a bit of a hard time because if you look at the way the NCAA does it, it wasn't hard to figure out that we would get the matchup because we're the only school within 400 miles. And, if you're sitting at 81 in the RPI and you get a 1 seed, I'm not a math major, but I don't think we should be a 16 seed, and that's exactly what we got. And, if you compare us to the other games with 1 seeds, all of those are below 250. It is what it is from that standpoint. I have nothing but respect for Florida State. I really do. I think someone's have to upset them if they don't win the national championship. And but they're really, really good. And the one thing I can tell you about the team, because this is like starting to turn into a home game for us because NCAA sends us here so much, that it's the deepest Florida State squad I've seen in a little bit of time. And what Mark, who's a dear friend of mine, accomplished here is unbelievable, right? And there's not many people who would want to step into that challenge, and it's pretty impressive what Brian's done with the pressures that come with that.
All right, we'll open to questions.
Coach Yelton, you have a lot of familiarity with this program at FSU.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Jordynn Dudley after facing her?
Well, I think she's probably the most dynamic player, right? I mean, the first goal she scored, I'm pretty sure she could have dunked a basketball, right? And there's just not a lot of kids that can do what she can do. And understand, we try to make it hard on her because her greatest strength is getting it behind teams because of her athleticism. You're talking about a kid, if I understand correctly, could play Division I college basketball. She was that good at that. So you're talking about a phenomenal athlete with great technique. So, to me, she's going to be the next rising star coming into the national team from college soccer. So yeah, my thoughts are she's pretty dang good.
Coach, you talked about the challenge coming down here to Tallahassee and playing such a good team. I mean, basically it seems like everyone on their team is going to go pro.
Yeah.
When you looked on film and you were scouting it, did you see anywhere where you thought you could attack or have some success? What were you going to key on?
What I thought of is the Miracle on Ice. Is what I thought of, right? That's essentially, we're a good old Baptist school up there in Alabama, right? Where you're talking about biblical stuff here, like David versus Goliath, right? And so I don't, the only weaknesses I can tell you, and if you look at their goals they've given up, it's set pieces. I don't know if the stat is still true, but it's not far off. If you give up a set piece goal, it runs against you. All right. If you score a set piece goal, you're 70% more likely to win the game. We saw it in the final for us. We score off a set piece goal, we won 1-0. If I'm not mistaken, Virginia Tech scored 3 on them. Right. It doesn't really work out that great for you if you only get one of them, right? But to me, if they have a weakness, that's going to be it. Because as polished as they are and as good as they are, to win a national championship in those moments that come down to grit, that's what they'll have to answer those questions in those moments, right? Talent-wise, to me, it's not close. They're by miles the most talented team. Was it 5-1 last year against Samford, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and we ain't Stanford, we're Samford, right? All right. So my point in all that is that to me, if they lose, it's an upset. They're pretty complete. I can't. There's not a kid that you see out there and you're like, at some point in time, I'm talking to my assistant like, oh man, that kid's really good. You look at it, that kid's really good. Doesn't take you very long to realize they're all really, really good. So, you know, as a college coach, I can't bet on anything, but if I was recommending a wager, that's where I'd be living, right there.
Just wanted to get some final thoughts from you on your squad this year, what they accomplished and what they did while wearing the Samford uniform.
Oh man, you know, I think the message to our kids always is we don't find our identity in all this, right? Like, soccer's what they do, it's not who they are, all right? And I mean, you could argue that we lost 10 starters from last year's squad, right? And we lost 5 out of 6. And I'm pretty sure there were people that thought that Samford soccer was kind of dead, right? And you know, we generally have a couple Power 5 wins along the way, and we weren't able to do that this year, but we still were able to get in the NCAA tournament. And to give you perspective on that, less than 7% of all college athletes will ever actually play in an NCAA tournament. So, you know, we've been there 4 out of the last 6 years, and if you look at our record outside of Tallahassee, it's pretty dang good, right? I mean, we've advanced twice, lost in penalties once, you know, but when they send you down here, it's a pretty big mountain to climb. But man, I couldn't be more proud of my kids. I think they're going to go out and be these wonderful women, be great moms and bosses and presidents and all that kind of stuff, you know. So the moments and the minutes that I've got to spend with them, I'm incredibly thankful for, is what I'd say about that.
Anything else?